The 2026 FIFA World Cup kicked off in Mexico City. 48 teams, 104 matches, an estimated 6 billion viewers worldwide. The largest single sporting event in the history of the planet, and it was supposed to be the moment the United States showed the world it could still organize and host something on this scale. A few days in, the world is watching, just not from inside the stadiums, and definitely not from inside the hotels. Start with the hotels, because the hotel data is where the gap between projection and reality is most precisely measured. 80% of hotels across the 11 US host cities are reporting bookings below forecast, not slightly below, structurally below. The American Hotel and Lodging Association surveyed over 200 properties and found that the majority of respondents described the tournament as a non-event. That specific phrase, non-event, is industry language reserved for situations where a mega event generates less hospitality business than a normal week of ordinary summer travel would produce. These cities are not seeing fewer tourists than expected. Some of them are seeing fewer tourists than they would have had the World Cup never been awarded to them at all. Arlington, Texas, which hosts more World Cup matches than any other American city, staging its games at AT&T Stadium, publicly acknowledged slower than expected demand. The president of the Arlington Convention and Visitors Bureau cited anti-US sentiment as a documented contributing factor in the demand shortfall. Hotels in Dallas and Philadelphia that raised their room rates by 300% in anticipation of historic occupancy are now sitting on empty inventory and slashing prices below their normal summer rates, rates they would have charged in a year with no World Cup at all. The 300% markup preceded a situation where those same rooms are now selling for less than baseline. FIFA made the underlying problem structurally worse through its own contract behavior. In the weeks before the tournament opened, FIFA quietly exercised opt-out clauses in its hotel contracts and canceled thousands of room block reservations across multiple host cities, Dallas, Philadelphia, and Arlington among them. FIFA had locked up massive room block allocations months in advance, which created an artificial demand signal. Hotels that received those bookings rejected other reservations from individual travelers and tour operators in order to hold the FIFA blocks. When FIFA canceled, describing the process through a spokesperson as adjusting room blocks in line with contractually agreed timelines, the hotels were left with empty rooms they had already refused other business for during the weeks they needed most. The hotels described it directly as a bait and switch. Local business owners who built their entire summer revenue models around the World Cup arrival are now looking at empty lobbies and canceled reservations in what was supposed to be the highest revenue month in their commercial history. The fan experience on the ground is confirming what the booking data already suggested. The Council on Foreign Relations published 2 separate analyses this week, one on geopolitical tensions surrounding the tournament, one on the attendance situation, and concluded that the tournament's atmosphere does not look like unity. International media coverage describes the environment around the US stadiums as resembling a security operation more than a sporting celebration. Streets are closed, parking is banned across entire city districts, perimeters are locked down behind multi-layered security cordons. Armed personnel are visible at every stadium entrance. The fans who did travel internationally are moving through a border and immigration system that was not designed to process the most complex multinational sporting event ever staged. 48 teams crossing between 3 host countries simultaneously, with different visa requirements, separate customs checkpoints, and immigration scrutiny that varies depending on which host country you are entering and which one you are departing. The political dimension materialized exactly as the pre-tournament data indicated it would. Major protests erupted outside SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles ahead of the opening US matches. Demonstrators gathered to register opposition to the ongoing conflict in Iran, to American immigration enforcement policies, and to the broader question of whether a country currently engaged in military operations in the Middle East is an appropriate host for an event positioned as a global celebration of sport. Amnesty International published a formal report describing the US hosting environment as a human rights emergency, citing immigration enforcement practices, restrictions on free assembly in host city perimeters, and discrimination affecting LGBTQ communities attending the tournament. The scheduling decision that best illustrates FIFA's organizational approach is the pride match between Egypt and Iran, two countries where homosexuality is a criminal offense carrying severe penalties, scheduled for June 26th in Seattle. Both national football associations have filed formal protests against the match's designation as a pride match. Seattle's organizing committee confirmed the fixture is proceeding as scheduled. The U.S. national team won their opening match 4-1 against Paraguay in Los Angeles. The players on the pitch have earned their result through years of preparation and deserve full recognition for the performance. But the victory exists inside a context that makes the image around it genuinely strange. Head coach Mauricio Pochettino has reportedly reached a pre-agreement with AC Milan for a €5 million contract beginning in August 2026. He has admitted publicly that his representatives have been meeting with European clubs while he manages the host nation's World Cup campaign. The team is winning despite the organizational environment surrounding it, not because of it. They beat Paraguay inside a stadium surrounded by political protests. In a city where 80% of hotels are performing below a normal summer, while their own head coach is negotiating his exit to Italian club football before the group stage is concluded. That is not a home tournament advantage. That is a professional team performing against the current of everything happening around it. The economic projections that justify the entire hosting decision are already being revised. FIFA projected 1.24 million international visitors, generating $30.5 billion in economic impact across the three host nations. The Council on Foreign Relations noted that international tourism to the United States fell 6.5% in 2025, that visa restrictions and immigration enforcement are suppressing demand from the specific markets, Europe, Africa, South America, that were expected to fill the stadium seats and the hotel rooms, and that the tourism boom narrative the original projections were built on has not materialized in any measurable form in the tournament's opening days. Ticket prices on secondary resale platforms were declining through May before FIFA released last-minute inventory batches, a move that market analysts described as partially designed to obscure the extent of unsold primary inventory. The Financial Times reported that resellers are struggling to move remaining tickets even at dramatically reduced prices. The revised projection emerging from independent analysis is that the economic impact of the 2026 World Cup in the United States will come in at less than half of FIFA's $30 billion forecast. International attendance will likely fall below the 1.24 million projection by at least 20%. The hotel industry across host cities is tracking toward a net loss compared to what a normal summer without the tournament would have generated a result that is the precise inverse of what a successful mega event is supposed to produce for the host economy. The infrastructure of a mega event is in place. The stadiums are built, the security is deployed, the broadcast deals are signed, the 6 billion viewers are watching. What is absent is the economic activity that was supposed to arrive alongside the viewers. The tournament is in its opening days. The group stage runs for weeks. Every data point currently tracking below projection has more time to confirm the pattern. The economic impact of a tournament is not fully measurable in its first week spending on hotel stays, restaurant meals, retail, and transportation accumulates across the entire duration of the event. But the opening week hotel occupancy data, the protest activity, the resale ticket pricing, the FIFA room block cancellations, and the head coach's pre-arranged exit contract are all visible in the first days. They are visible to the 6 billion people watching the tournament on screens worldwide, in stadiums that were projected to be full, in cities that were projected to be booming, in a country that was projected to be celebrating one of the most commercially successful mega events ever staged.